Working on organic PV about 20 years ago, we had plenty of questions, and we still have, maybe we resolved a lot, but we still have a bunch. And the only good thing is that now we are more people working on that and trying to solve these questions. So I will talk today about high efficiency, and today we have had already a bunch of very good strategies on high efficiency. So I will not make use of reading. I will avoid to do that. On which one should I click? Probably the one which is Yeah. And so I will talk about really kind of extreme PV cells, which bring us back to the talk of Jacob at the beginning of the day. So like 20 years ago, there has been a proposition by Bailey. He had a patent at that time in 72, so more than 30 something. 40, sorry. No, yeah, I'm making myself younger now. Probably. So it's very old, and he had a patent on this Rectenna principle, and he suggested to use actually the antennas that you have in your cell phones with a rectifier to convert the solar light into electricity. Obviously, that was a bit challenging, so his patent has been of no use because it's too old to be of any use. But he published that, and some people have made some modeling, like actually even Martin Green has been working on the modeling of these things. The same guy as silicon, high efficiency silicon. And more recently it has been revisited, like this century, by people trying to make antennas and collect the sunlight. So there has been already some success. People have been able to convert the light from an infrared laser like a 10 micron laser, a CO2, with quite some efficiency. Quantum efficiency was above 2%. So that can work. I mean, actually, it's not an impossibility. But then when you try to extrapolate that to the visible light, there is a bunch of challenges. Obviously, the visible light is very broadband, so you need to make something that is collecting all these light from the infrared. Actually, more I would say from the infrared to the UV. So this is the range we would like to convert, in which you have 100 milliwatts per square centimeter energy. And a big challenge is to fabricate the diodes. So if you talk to reasonable people, they will say there is a possibility to fabricate diodes, and they are doing that by making some deposition by ALD, and they have diodes that can rectify at a fraction of volts, making a metal insulator, metal diode. So there is a bunch of things happening in that domain, and there is a book actually, that book here, Rectenna Solar Cells, which describes that kind of principle very, very well. And when I started working in my career, we were studying some, non-linear optical molecules, some harmonic and things like that. And very early it happened that that idea, which was brought by Aviram and Ratner in 77, so these are very old things, that molecules can rectify. And actually, if you are a user of STM probes, you can check the rectification of a single molecule, which rectifies depending the molecule in between something like a fraction of volts and several volts. And that's just an experiment carried by Robert Metzger more recently, still quite old, in which he was making self-assembled layers on gold, and he had a top electrode of gold, and he has a clear rectification, which is just due to the fact that he has a molecule which is, you see, a donor pi conjugation acceptor. So it's a donor acceptor molecule, which are the molecules that were studied classically in non-linear optics. And then I designed a kind of solar cell out of this, in which I inspired very much from the solar cells, the Gray cells, the light sensitized. And I made some estimations to make rectification to get 1 volt using light which is 100 milliwatts per square centimeter, which is 1 kilowatt per square meter. You have a field of 10 to the 3 volt per meter, which is a solar field actually, the electric field from the sun on Earth. Which is polychromatic there, and which is not polarized. You need an enhancement to go typically to 10 to the 7 volt per meter, which makes an enhancement of the electric field of 2 10 to the 8, which is a bit high. It's not totally impossible if you make some estimations. I will give you the possibilities, and then I will go back to what we are doing effectively. Because surface transformant scattering has been providing enhancement of the square of the intensity of 10 to the 14. So if you just take that number, which is probably a monochromatic number, certainly actually, I'm quite sure. And if you use concentrated PV, it would be possible to achieve such rectification. So I say we are almost there, but that should work in a monochromatic range. So we have fabricated the antennas already with actually an H2P whose network H2P, Manchester. Yeah. And these antennas, for instance, have a very strong absorption in the infrared, you see, because they are rods, nanorods of these were gold, but fabricated gold, silver, and copper as well. And with a kind of solar cell built, actually that's a scheme, we could achieve that, but that's not enough. So I'm going back now to what we are doing presently with my student Somaye. She will be presenting something around that tomorrow actually. It's optical rectification. Optical rectification is a property which is quite well known. It's a second order nonlinear optical property. When you develop the polarization into a material, you have the polarization that is proportional to the electric field. And there are also nonlinear terms. You can expand that into series. So that is optical modulation, like Kerr effect. And this is a so-called second harmonic generation, but when you write second harmonic generation, you have simultaneously optical rectification. Actually, optical rectification is used by femtosecond laser people to make terahertz fields. You have different tricks to make terahertz. You can use a switch, actually, a switch, or a nonlinear crystal, and you launch terawatts, and you obtain a big burst of terahertz, which bandwidth is typically the inverse of the duration of your laser. So here I'm trying to make optical rectification with DC fields, and we have worked on that. If you try to think of what is happening, with a light you create a polarization into the material, and you can charge the capacitors. So the first idea was to verify if the capacitor can be charged. We have gone through a bunch of bugs, I can say, like multiphoton absorption, like thermal effects, like many things. So we have been able to deconvolute every kind of different parasitic effect. And I must say that if you read the literature, you will find a kind of like a dozen of papers in which there has not been any systematic investigation of the properties. The reason is that the polarization, the polarizability, you see here is coming like a Chi2, but that is a tensor. So it's a third rank tensor, so it multiplies. You see you have a vector that is coupled to the square of the vector. But that's a tensorial coupling. So you have some symmetry rules, and we have built an apparatus which is just a laser, a DC femtosecond CW femtosecond laser, which is not very powerful. And we have built some diodes with silver nanoparticles, and now we are improving a bit the diodes, putting back these antennas that I was showing previously. And we have very clear evidence of optical rectification. And I must say that in the literature you will not find that kind of things, because nobody has been doing that kind of evidence with different polarizations to monitor the properties of the Chi2, of that tensor here, which has a bunch of non-zero components, but which components are linked together into the symmetry of the surface. So I must say that if we use that nonlinearity, owing to the fact that we fabricate kind of artificial molecules with antennas, we have nonlinearity which takes like the cube actually of the length of antennas. And that gives an enhancement of about 10 to the 6 on the Chi2. So now I don't really anymore on the enhancement of the electric field inside my cells due to the plasmonic term, which was very much resonant. I can use a very much broadband answer to my problem of optical rectification. And with that Chi2 that can have enhanced by about 10 to the 6, and it's just a 10 to the 5 intensity enhancement, which is not so difficult to get, because 10 to the 2 is obtained directly by the tip effect at the tip of the antennas here, and the 10 to the 3 can be achieved with solar concentration. So that's a little bit of a dream, but we are working hard on it, and the dream will come probably next year.
Any questions for Jean-Michel? I have a question. So, yes, I'll come back to your slide, your previous slide. So here, yes, you can get every wavelength. Is that because usually, if let's say all your antennas are all the same shape or whatever, then it would be very specific wavelength? And is it because of the non-uniformity that you said you could get all the different wavelengths?
Yeah, already the plasmonic resonance is if you have seen, is very broad. It is due to the losses in the metal. It's about like half EV of width. Okay. So actually, just by all these things, if you pile up, if you just draw it into the scale with some jitter in the sides that we have also, because they are made by a collective. I didn't explain that, but actually I've tried to bring all the good and bad of 20 years of study of organic and nanoparticles So I use from the organic all what is related to the larger array fabrication technology, which is possible. Actually, these antennas, we fabricate them by a collective process. So we fabricate, like a bunch of billions each shot. We make an experiment, and they are fabricated by kind of self-assembly. So, but they have some jitter. They are not perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have to.
Okay, merci Jean-Michel.